Welcome back to OneStopTutorials.com. We're doing absolutely great. We've sliced up the template. Now we're going to get in and hand code this from scratch and get you guys and girls up and running. Now I'm using Dreamweaver CS5 here. It doesn't matter what version you're using. What we're going to be doing is all code, and so it doesn't really matter at all. So if you're on CS5, CS4, CS3, whatever version, it does not matter. So the first thing I want to do is I want to bring that folder that we made. We made a folder called Recipe Project. I want to bring that in. Well, I want to connect Dreamweaver to it. So all you do is go to Site, New Site, and yours might look like. In fact, it doesn't do it in this one now. Your section might look a bit different, but basically what you need to do is you need to give the name. So I'm going to call this a recipe. And then in this version of it, and I think this is the same as CS4 as well, what you do is you just choose the folder that we want to do, which is the recipes project, and I'm going to hit select and you hit save. Now in the older versions you have to go through a few more stages, but the information is pretty similar. It wants your site name, it wants you to know where the folder is, it'll ask you, do you want to upload via FTP? Just choose none, because we're going to upload via FTP ourselves. And if you get a problem, I have done another course on how to actually set up a create a new site. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. We called it recipes, and there we go. If you look inside of our files palette on the right, you'll notice there is our images with all our images in, and there is that template that we made. So if I double left click on that, you'll notice you'll see the whole of our website, and here it is. What I do is I just throw this away. I'm not interested in this no more. Okay, so what we want to do, let's get started with this. First thing we want to do is we want to go to File, New, and we want to create a new HTML document. New HTML, hit Create. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to call this Index, because the first page of your website always has to be called Index. Okay, next thing we're going to do is File, New, CSS. I'm going to create a new CSS, File, Save As, and I'm going to call this Style. This is going to be our style sheet. Okay, I'm going to hit save, and what I'm going to quickly do is connect, come into the index.html, go to the code view, underneath where it says title, hit enter on your keyboard, and then from your files palette just simply left click, drag your style in, and there we go, you got your style connected. That style sheet is now connected to this HTML page. So let us get on rocking and rolling with this. What I like to do is I like to have Photoshop open as well. So if you have Photoshop still open, that's great, because we're going to come in there and try to gather information from Photoshop. Okay, the first thing we got here is I want to select the marquee tool, and I want to select this slice here, and a little great tool, a little feature that I want to show you is the info. Okay, if it's not here, go to Windows and choose info. Okay, click on that, and what this will do is this will allow you to see the width and the height in pixels. I use this all the time when coding. Okay, so the width of this is 18 pixels, the height is 151 pixels. Let's come back into our HTML, and let's go to our style sheet, and we're going to first call upon the first style, which in our case is we're going to set up the actual body. The body is the whole of your website. Anytime you put HTML into your website, actual content of your HTML goes into the body. So we want to go to the style sheet and call upon the body, and anytime you do this in the style sheet, all you type in is body. CSS, always open and close brackets, and then you put the information inside. The first thing I want to specify is the actual whole font for the whole website is going to be a certain size unless I state otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to go to font size, and you'll notice it comes up. Just hit down on your arrow, hit enter, and I'm going to make this font size to be 100%. Okay, it's going to be 100%. Generally that works out as about 12 pixels. Okay, I like working in percentages sometimes. I also like working in pixels sometimes. So font size 100%. I want no margin because I want the thing to be right up tight to the top, and I want no padding as well. Even though you don't specify margin and padding, sometimes it gets put in there. In fact, it always gets put in there by default, especially with the body. Next thing I want to do is call upon that background image, that that slice that we made, and go to URL, and this is called BG. This graphic here, you remember this one? Okay, and with this, once you have URL, images, BG, or whatever you named it, hit spacebar, and then you want to repeat X. Okay, meaning you're going to repeat from left to right. Okay, it's going to repeat all the way across the page, and that's it. That's the body tag complete. Save that, come back to the index. If we go to design view, there it is. You'll notice it goes all the way indefinitely across the page. Doesn't matter how big or how small someone's monitor is. That's the body tag. Now let's get started on the actual whole section at the top here. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to actually get in the logo and the actual search section. Okay, and I want to take it, if I come in with my marquee tool, I'll show you what I mean. I want to take it to about there. I want to go across the whole page, okay, but I want to just sort of stop it above this actual green menu. So I'm just going to take this top section here. Okay, so let's do that, and if we come to our info, it tells me height is 117 pixels. So let's do that. Let's come into the code, and we need to specify a div. We need to specify a container for that section. So I'm going to do a div, and I'm going to give it an ID of header. Okay, and then you close it, and then you close it. Okay, so that's how it should look. Div ID, and every time you make an ID or you make a class, you have to give it a name, and that's where you can call upon it in the style sheet. So now we've done that, let's come over to the style sheet and call upon that. As we chose an ID, we have to start with a hash sign. So hash sign and whatever we called it, which was header. Open and close brackets. So what do we want to do this? Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my website is center in the middle of the page. So I'm going to do a margin. I'm going to hit enter, 0. I don't want any margin, and I want to have it auto. It's going to be automatically in the middle of my page. Now, for the way to make it automatically middle in my pages, I've got to specify a width so it knows where to put it and where not to put it. So I'm going to specify a width of 1000 pixels. 1000 pixels. Okay, and then the height we just looked at inside of actual Photoshop there, we knew it was 117 pixels in height, and that, as they say, is that. So if we come back to our index, come to design view, we've now got a div here that is center aligned in the whole of the page. Doesn't look like it is, but once you preview it, it will be center aligned in the actual page. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make up two sections, because what we have here in Photoshop is we have this section, we have the coffee cake section, and we also have the search section, and I like to split these up into two sections. So I'll have a header left and I'll have a header right, and inside of the header left will be the logo, and inside of the header right will be the search. Okay, so let's come back to the code. Inside of the header, because that's where we want it, inside of the header, div ID, and I'm going to call this header left. I'm going to close that off, and then also inside it, but underneath the div ID header left, I'm going to make another div ID, and I'm going to call this header underscore right, and I'm going to close that off. Okay, and I'm going to quickly come to the CSS, and I'm going to call upon, we start with a hash sign, and what was it called? It was called header left, open and close brackets, and I'm going to type in the other one as well, header underscore right, and open and close brackets. Okay, that's probably it for this tutorial. We're running out of time. I'm limited on 10 minutes, so in the next tutorial we'll carry on through this. We'll carry on getting this website complete and have you guys and girls up and running. Take it easy, guys and girls. Catch you at the next One Stop Tutorials.